While Hollywood has ignored this story, one of the most powerful men in the music industry built an empire worth hundreds of millions of dollars, and then watched it collapse under the weight of federal criminal charges that shocked the entertainment world. Sean Combs, the man who transformed hip-hop from a street movement into a global commercial force, stands today as one of the most dramatic falls from grace in American cultural history. The world celebrated his rise for 3 decades. Now, the world is watching his reckoning. Sean John Combs was born on November 4, 1969, in Harlem, New York City. His father, Melvin Earl Combs, was shot and killed in Central Park in 1972. When Sean was just 2 years old, raised by his mother, Janice, in Mount Vernon, New York, Combs demonstrated ambition from an early age. He attended Howard University in Washington, D.C. in 1987, where he studied business. Though he left before, that decision would alter the course of American popular culture. Combs secured an internship at Uptown Records in New York City in 1990, working under Andre Harrell. By 1991, he had risen to the position of Vice President of Artists and Repertoire, an extraordinary achievement for a man still in his early 20s. He was fired from Uptown Records in 1993, a setback that would prove to be the launching pad for something far larger. That same year, he founded Bad Boy Records, a label that would become one of the most commercially successful hip-hop imprints in history. The signing of Christopher Wallace, known professionally as the Notorious B.I.G., became the cornerstone of Bad Boy's dominance. Wallace's debut album, Ready to Die, was released in September 1994 and produced in large part by Combs. It is now considered one of the greatest hip-hop albums ever recorded. Bad Boy Records generated revenues estimated in the hundreds of millions of dollars throughout the 1990s. Combs himself released his debut solo album, No Way Out, in July 1997, which won the Grammy Award for Best Rap Album in 1998, one of his 3 total Grammy wins. The murder of the Notorious B.I.G. on March 9, 1997, in Los Angeles, California, sent shockwaves through the music industry. Wallace was shot 4 times in a drive-by shooting following a music industry event. He was 24 years old. The case remains officially unsolved to this day. Combs had been present at the event that night. The loss devastated him publicly and marked a turning point in the cultural narrative surrounding Bad Boy Records. By the early 2000s, Combs had expanded beyond music into fashion, launching the Sean John clothing line in 1998. Forbes magazine named him one of the wealthiest celebrities in the world on multiple occasions, with his net worth estimated at various points exceeding $800 million. The first major legal crisis in Combs's public life emerged on December 27, 1999, when a shooting occurred at Club New York in Manhattan. 3 people were wounded in the incident. Combs was present at the club with his then-girlfriend Jennifer Lopez and his associate Jamal Shine Barrow. Combs was arrested and charged with gun possession and bribery. Specifically, prosecutors alleged he had attempted to bribe his driver into claiming ownership of a firearm found in the vehicle. The trial, which began in January 2001, became one of the most publicized celebrity court cases of that era. On March 16, 2001, Combs was acquitted on all charges. Barrow, however, was convicted and sentenced to 10 years in prison. The acquittal did not end scrutiny of Combs. Over the following 2 decades, a pattern of civil lawsuits and personal allegations accumulated around him. In November 2023, Combs's former longtime partner, singer Cassandra Ventura, known professionally as Cassie, filed a federal lawsuit in the Southern District of New York. The lawsuit alleged rape, sex trafficking, and years of physical and psychological abuse. The complaint described incidents allegedly spanning more than a decade of their relationship, which began in approximately 2007. Combs denied the allegations. The lawsuit was settled the following day, on November 17, 2023, for an undisclosed amount. Cassie's attorneys confirmed the settlement, but stated publicly that their client stood by every word in the complaint. Following the Cassie lawsuit, additional accusers came forward in rapid succession. By early 2024, multiple civil lawsuits had been filed against Combs by individuals who alleged sexual assault, coercion, and trafficking. Attorneys representing several plaintiffs alleged that Combs had organized events he allegedly referred to internally as freak-offs, described in legal filings as coerced sexual performances involving multiple individuals, allegedly recorded and used as leverage. These allegations were documented in court filings submitted to federal courts. In March 2024, federal agents from Homeland Security investigations conducted raids on properties associated with Combs, including his residence in Los Angeles, California, and a property in Miami, Florida. The raids were confirmed by the Department of Homeland Security. Combs was not present at either location during the raids. His legal team issued a statement calling the raids an ambush and denying wrongdoing. On September 16, 2024, Sean Combs was arrested at a hotel in New York City. He was indicted by a federal grand jury on charges including racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking by force, fraud and coercion, and transportation to engage in prostitution. Federal prosecutors alleged that Combs had led a criminal enterprise spanning years, using his business network to facilitate abuse and cover up crimes. He pleaded not guilty to all charges. As of the time of this documentary's production, Sean Combs remains in federal detention, having been denied bail on 2 separate occasions. Federal judges ruled that Combs posed a danger to the community and a flight risk, citing his substantial financial resources and the severity of the charges. His legal team has continued to contest the charges vigorously, maintaining that he is innocent and that the prosecution is overreaching. The Department of Justice has not publicly disclosed the full scope of its investigation. Though court documents suggest that federal investigators have been building their case for several years, attorneys representing multiple civil plaintiffs have stated publicly that they believe additional victims have not yet come forward. The exact number of individuals named in federal proceedings continues to evolve as the case develops. Several former associates of Combs have made public statements distancing themselves from him since the September 2024 arrest. The full list of witnesses expected to testify in any eventual trial has not been made public. Legal analysts covering the case for major outlets, including the New York Times and CNN, have noted that the racketeering charge filed under the RICO statute suggests prosecutors intend to argue that the alleged criminal conduct was systematic and organizational rather than isolated. The entertainment industry has been largely silent, a silence that many observers have described as telling, given Combs' decades of influence and the breadth of his professional relationships across music, television, and fashion. The cultural impact of Sean Combs on American music and popular culture is genuinely difficult to overstate. Bad Boy Records launched or amplified the careers of artists including Mary J. Blige, Faith Evans, 112, and Total throughout the 1990s. The label's commercial dominance helped shift hip-hop from a genre perceived as regional and underground into a mainstream global industry generating billions of dollars annually. Combs' production style, sampling classic soul and R&B records over hip-hop beats, became one of the defining sonic signatures of late 1990s popular music. His Sean John fashion line generated over $100 million in annual revenue at its peak and won the Council of Fashion Designers of America Award for Menswear Designer of the Year in 2004. His media ventures included a stake in Revolt TV, a music-focused cable network launched in 2013. His philanthropic work included the Sean Combs Foundation, which funded education and arts programs, and a reported $40 million donation to Howard University in 2016, one of the largest single gifts in the university's history. Internationally, Combs' arrest generated significant media coverage across Europe, the United Kingdom, Canada, and Australia. Several international music publications noted that the case had broader implications for how the entertainment industry handles allegations of abuse by powerful figures. Advocacy organizations focused on sex trafficking survivors cited the case as an example of the intersection between celebrity power and exploitation. Hollywood has not touched this story yet, but the real events are more dramatic than any crime movie ever made. Films like Goodfellas, dramatized the rise and fall of organized crime figures over decades. Films like Blow trace the arc of a self-made criminal empire built on money, influence, and eventual collapse. The story of Sean Combs contains all of those elements: the Harlem childhood, the murdered father, the self-made billions, the Grammy stages, the federal raids, the handcuffs in a New York hotel, and it is entirely real and entirely documented. No screenwriter invented any of it. The scale of the alleged criminal enterprise, the decades of cultural influence, and the speed of the collapse would be considered too implausible for fiction. Reality has outpaced imagination here. The reason no film exists yet is simple: the story is not finished. Federal proceedings are ongoing, witnesses have not yet testified publicly, and the full scope of what investigators allegedly uncovered in those March 2024 raids has not been disclosed. When this story is finally told in full, it will not need embellishment. The legacy of Sean Combs is now divided into two irreconcilable chapters. The first chapter is the story of a man who built one of the most significant cultural empires in modern American history from nothing, winning 3 Grammy Awards, generating hundreds of millions of dollars, and reshaping global popular music. The second chapter is unfolding in federal court. How those two chapters are ultimately reconciled, by the justice system, by history, and by the culture that once celebrated him, remains one of the most consequential questions in American entertainment today. The trial has not yet begun. The full truth has not yet been heard. Follow Dark Crime Decoded for stories Hollywood has not told yet.